There was once a boy. He was born from humble beginnings. He came from a large family, some power, and experienced the hardships of life at a very early age. By the time he was 9, his father was killed, poisoned by a rival clan. Shortly thereafter, his mother and his 7 siblings, they were abandoned by their clan because they were extra mouths to feed. So this boy, he grew up hunting, foraging, and kind of emerged as a leader in his family. In his early adult years, he was, I'm sorry for the roosters. We're on Kauai. That's often why I'm muted. But in his early adult years, he was captured and enslaved by a rival clan, he and his young wife. And he eventually made a daring escape. And by the time he was in his early 20s, he emerged as a warrior and a leader. Little by little, he gained supporters and he gained followers. He continued to establish his presence through his leadership, military tactics, and savage brutality. Concurrently, he was able to forge alliances with heads of other key clans, and eventually he consolidated the steppe confederations and then moved on to conquer beyond. By now, you may have guessed whose story I'm describing. Temujin. No, not ringing any bells. Better known as Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan conquered more than twice as much land as any other person in history. He consolidated clans into a unified nation and eventually brought Eastern and Western civilizations into contact in the process. He's arguably one of the most famous conquerors in history, and at their peak, the Mongols controlled between 11 and 12 million contiguous square miles of land. That's a landmass about the size of Africa. This was the largest empire to ever exist, and despite the raw realities of conquest, this would not at all have been possible without a strong leader. So happy Aloha Monday, Rotary Club of Kahului. It's a beautiful day here on the Garden Island of Kauai. I'm very honored and grateful to have the opportunity to be part of your meeting today, and this is actually my very first Rotary Club meeting. So you guys are the first people to trust me speaking ever. No, just kidding. I've spoken a couple of times before. But again, thank you for having me here today. Again, my name is Melanie Tice. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director for Coach Viliami Tuivai, as well as one of the Tier 1 coaches with the Empowerment to Success program. We are empowering the everyday person by providing a framework for success in life, leadership, and business. My area of interest and kind of specialty is mindset strategy and mastery. I'm absolutely fascinated with the power of thought, how it affects our outcomes and manifests into our physical world. And I'm also becoming more intrigued that with time, it's kind of being backed a little bit more by science with the mind-body connection. I fell into this line of work quite by accident. I never imagined that I would be a sales and marketing director. By education and career, I am a social worker. I've always loved working with children, and initially I wanted to be an early childhood educator. In the end, though, I spent over a decade as a therapist and case manager with the Department of Education. I'm still involved with the social services realm, as Tony mentioned. I'm involved with the judiciary, a facilitator for the Kids First program as an independent contractor, and also an independent provider for court-mandated and voluntary supervision of non-custodial parents. I love working with children. I love working with families, school teams, interdisciplinary teams, but my true joy is guiding others to empower themselves. So being a social worker and a therapist, that was an incredible career. It really was. It was very fulfilling. I learned so much. I really loved advocacy. I loved working with the families, providing as much knowledge and information as possible so they could make the decisions that were best for their children and ultimately their family as a whole. I enjoyed working very much with the population I worked with for the longest, which was middle schoolers. I enjoyed witnessing their logic and rationale forming, or sometimes lack thereof. It was a very interesting, fun career. But in the end of my career, what I realized was that even children, everyone wants to be respected, valued, acknowledged, heard, understood, and not judged. And at that time, that was the most influential and important position I had ever held professionally. But it wasn't always easy. In the social services realm, there were a lot of difficult cases, things I wasn't quite exposed to or had any experience with growing up or at that point in my life. So there was a lot of domestic violence, physical abuse, sexual abuse, substance abuse, neglect, and all kinds of allegations, parents who just didn't get along. Really heavy stuff. I had to learn how to compartmentalize my emotions and detach a bit, if you will. I had to have many difficult conversations with kids, their parents, the school teams, affiliate agencies, and sometimes I found myself advocating really hard for clients and their families and being the only one taking a particular stance. It was hard too to deal with multiple systems. I had to learn how to deal with multiple funding streams, personalities, hierarchies, all within multiple agencies, just complex systems that I needed to learn so I could serve my clients to the best of my ability. So it was just layers and layers upon learning in an ever-changing system, high turnover rates. So it was never a dull moment and never really a question of whether I had job security or not. That was my state job in a nutshell. But over 15 years of experiences in the social services realm, sometimes it felt like a lot of headache and stress, but most of all, heartache. And in the end, it was burnout that got to me. And it wasn't from working with my clients, not the kids or the families, but it was the systemic issues. Looking back, however, it was an incredible period of learning, challenging myself as well as tons of personal and professional growth and development. The person who I started out as working for the DOE was very much different than the person I left as, and my time there provided a wealth of experience that catalyzed shifts and pivots which changed and defined who I was and who I would become as a leader and provider. All of this, has gone on unbeknownst to me, only to be realized far later in the journey. And everything kind of comes full circle and falls into place. And who knew I would end up as a sales and marketing director, and that my work as a therapist and social worker would yield such valuable assets. There are things that I learned on the job that you can't learn from a book. Experiential, tacit knowledge, it's definitely just as valuable in many aspects as book knowledge. But these are the roots of my leadership, the fertile ground where I first learned to connect, inspire, encourage, and motivate. Now, as a sales and marketing director, I do sales and marketing things. But on top of that, I'm in charge of a team of coaches, which means I need to be able to provide my coaches with everything they need to be successful, to empower themselves, as well as serve our clients to empower themselves. In addition, I'm a liaison for potential and existing clients, and my favorite part of the job is facilitating support sessions, which I get to do in one-on-one sessions as well as group sessions. I get to share my knowledge and my experience as well as learn from others because, like my mentor preaches, iron sharpens iron and together we rise. Each and every one of us is in a leadership role, whether we realize it or not. We're inadvertent volunteer leaders in spurts of time, and the reality is, anytime that we are guiding or influencing another, we're in a leadership role. Leadership is a quality that we can somehow unconsciously deploy, but man, the incredible things that can happen, that do happen, and that are possible when we make the conscious decision to live out and deploy leadership in our everyday lives. Anyone can be a leader, but we have to want to be. And this is different from wanting a promotion, a higher rank, or more authority. Dwight Eisenhower once said, "The art of leadership is getting someone else to do something that you want done because he wants to do it, not because your power or position of authority can compel him to do it." Leadership is a conscious decision, an intentional decision to assume responsibility for those around us, to nurture people and relationships. It's assuming responsibility for the good and the bad, and the ultimate outcomes of the collective in which we lead. There's so many things that we have to do and consistently work on to be a great leader. It takes courage to face our fears, our weaknesses, to take risks on ourselves and on others, to speak the truth, to make difficult decisions, and to sometimes stand alone. It takes accountability and responsibility. So why on earth would any of us choose leadership, to refine it, if it takes so much courage, responsibility, accountability, constant attention, and effort? Because in life, leadership, and business, we need people. Relationships are essential for long-lasting impact in businesses and communities alike. So as I've matured and grown through experience, I've come to value my relationships so much more than ever. An additional layer of awareness was created by my mentor, who identifies a V formation as one of 7 key components of life. In nature, birds fly in a V formation for 2 reasons. Well, there's probably more, but 2 reasons I'm going to talk about. For one, it's more efficient and it conserves energy. So each bird flies slightly above the bird in front of it, and as they get tired, they fall to the back. They also are able to keep track of every member in the flock. In our realm, our V formation are our key network of people who keep us going, who support us, and they make us more efficient and effective in life success and achieving fulfillment. There will be times where we're going to be struggling, where we want to take a risk, where we're swimming upstream, and we're going to need our V formation. Our people, those people who root for us, support us, and help keep us going. People who claim to be leaders, they're a dime a dozen, but true leaders are rare gems. People will join often because of shared vision, but they often leave because of poor leadership. And Dolly Parton says, if your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, do more, learn more, and become more, then you're an excellent leader. Leadership is a lifestyle. It's not something that we embody situationally, temporarily, occasionally, or when we feel like the right people are with us. We have to make the decision and subscribe to a lifetime student membership, relentlessly striving to hone ourselves to being a leader that people want to follow. Being a leader is an art with constant refinement, adjustment, shifts, pivots, and learning. And by definition, leadership is the ability of an individual or group of individuals to influence, guide, inspire, persuade, encourage, and motivate a group of people to attain a common goal, consensus, or realization of an organizational mission. A good leader, an effective leader, has knowledge. My coach and mentor breaks knowledge down into 3 very specific categories. Life knowledge, knowing exactly who you are, what you believe in, how to take care of yourself, and where you want to go. Industry knowledge, the knowledge and skills necessary for you to be successful in your chosen industry or profession. And exact want knowledge, knowing exactly what you want out of life, your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. These 3 categories tie directly into confidence, which good leaders know themselves so well that they are constantly led from within. They operate from intuition. And speaking of intuition, leaders are often in touch with what Bob Proctor refers to as the 6 higher mental faculties: perception, will, memory, reason, intuition, and imagination. Napoleon Hill says that they are an intelligent follower. They know when to lead and they know when to follow. They know when to accept another idea that might be better than their own. The Stoics believe that a great leader always looks for teachable moments, even if that means teaching yourself and learning from another source, perhaps even a subordinate. Leaders are disciplined. They're able to give directives to others, and they follow them. And moreover, leaders are able to follow their own command. Regardless of what's going on, a leader always has a good attitude. They don't let the outside world dictate their emotions or their internal state. They're calm and dynamic. They're strong originators. In other words, they often think outside of the box. They're innovative, and they tap into their imagination. This often makes them focused, solution-oriented, and steadfast, excellent exercisers of their will. Most importantly out of all of those, and none of those will make up leadership without this one, but leaders are relationship builders. So John Maxwell said that leaders become great not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. They create an atmosphere where people feel at ease and accepted. They do this by being observant, an active listener, engaging with their people, and often giving more than they get. They're consistently leaving others with a sense of increase. They're authentically developing and nurturing relationships. They're engaged and involved with their teams as they develop trust. And as my coach and mentor teaches, they win hearts and minds. So Genghis Khan, he conquered a great deal of land during his time. And can you imagine, he managed to do all of this, maintain unification and order without the use of technology? Such a luxury, not able to pick up the phone and shoot a text, an email, or give a call and say, hey, what's the update on the latest invasion, guys? But, he didn't just become a great leader on accident. The 1100s and 1200s were pretty brutal, I can imagine, and the reverberations and consequences of a conquest are undoubtedly nothing to be glamorized. But Genghis Khan was a conscious, strategic, open individual, and his results showed that he did something right? So while I can't back his interpersonal skills or his sparkling personality 100%, some things in history that were noted validate that the leadership's traits that we've discussed, he kind of had. He had knowledge, he had life knowledge, he accepted his leadership role long before he was the head of a clan. It began with when his family got the boot. He had exact want knowledge, he knew exactly what he wanted in life, and he went for it seemingly fearlessly, or at least according to the history books, right? Which took courage. He was an intelligent follower. Despite conquering along the way, he adapted many systems and methods of doing things because they meant more efficiency or better outcomes. He was an innovative thinker, an out-of-the-box creative thinker. He spied on his rivals to outwit them and conquer them easier. And in the early stages, he broke Mongol tradition by placing allies deemed competent in key positions versus relatives And granted, he executed the leaders of enemy tribes, but the remaining people of the tribe he incorporated into his own. So he was engaged, he knew his people, and because of these and many other reasons, he was able to be an effective and efficient leader, and his legacy lives on. Our story and the way we impact people is our legacy. Does leaving a legacy matter? I never really thought about it much outside of my family, being a parent, my children, until my introduction to my mentor. I didn't realize that all along I had been building my legacy far beyond my family through my career, volunteerism, being involved in my community, and my legacy continues to unfold. Nothing in this life is coincidence, and it's no surprise that you guys are here. You choose to be an active contributing member to the Rotary Club because service, fellowship, diversity, integrity, and leadership are a part of your core values. And that's basically a really quick outline of this long-winded talk that I just gave. And although 2021 is coming to a close, consider adapting this year's Rotary theme into your daily leadership habits. Serve to change lives. Leave people with a sense of increase. Subscribe to being a lifetime student of leadership. Continue to serve, be aware, be mindful of the legacy that you choose or inadvertently leave behind. What you leave behind is not engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others. We are by default woven into each other's lives, so why not challenge ourselves to level up in life, leadership, and business, and leave behind something that matters? Do we each have the responsibility to leave behind a legacy? That's a question for you to answer with yourself. But consider this. A legacy helps to keep people connected. It's a common thread. It helps shape the bigger picture, and it may start with one individual, but may grow to strengthen communities and impact societies. Thank you very much.